Hello, this is Sheila. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and my blog is Sheila Stamping Wishes. So welcome, and we're going to be making this card today. It's a sympathy card. Unfortunately, I've had a couple of friends that have lost one of their parents, so I'm going to make up a few more of these cards and get them on out for them. But I thought this would be a good one because it can be used for so many different things. It would make a beautiful Easter card, just changing the sentiment in it. And so, or the instead of with sympathy, you could put Happy Easter. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about a few of the supplies and where this stamp set comes from and how you can get it. All right, the paper we're using today, the DSP, comes from the Occasions catalog, and it's that new Floral Romance Designer Series paper. I just can't get enough of it. It's just gorgeous. And so if you haven't got your hands on this, I would highly recommend it. We're going to be using that today, and we're also using the stamp set Lasting Lily, and this stamp set comes from our new Celebrations catalog. And yes, for only a $100 purchase, which can come from your shows or maybe an online party with your friends, however you would like to earn the purchases, you can get this one free. And then a gorgeous set. This one will definitely stay in my favorites area. So on the framelits today, we're using, for the title here, we're going to be using from the Stitch Label Framelits die, this particular framelit, and I went ahead and cut it out just for saving some time on the screen. Also, we're using my new favorite stitching rectangle framelits, and I use number 4 and 5 from the center. So if you were to count out 1, 2, 3, then I have 4 and 5 here, and I used those. And so this is what we got out of there. So let's go ahead and set this off to the side. When you cut out the two frames together, which is what I did, it looks like this, and then this pops out, and now you have the frame, which I'm going to be putting the canna lilies in. And now I've got a piece that will be gorgeous in another card, so I'll set that one aside for right now. For our measurements, our DSP is 3 by 5 1/4, and then we have the shimmery white, which we have at 3 1/2 by 5. We have the petal pink, which is cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and we have our Blackberry Bliss, which is cut at 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and it's scored at 4 1/4. For our inside, we have a piece cut at the shimmery white, cut at 4 by 5 1/4. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and fold our base card over, and as I'm folding it over, I'll burnish it, but it will give me my 4 1/4 scoring. So if you prefer scoring, then definitely use your trimmer and score that, but I thought we'd just go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and place this the pink on, because we're not going to be placing anything behind it. So let's go ahead and get our glue and place that on the card, and then we'll set that aside and use our Stamparatus for stamping our stamps that we're going to be using today. Okay, so let's go ahead and place this on. That's good. Okay, we're going to set that aside for a minute. And next we're going to go ahead and get our Stamparatus out and use our smaller scrap piece that we've got. Let me see what I did with my scrap piece. It should be over here. Here it is. Yes, this is it. And I've got my plates set up for different layers of stuff that we're working on today. So let's go ahead and we'll start off with... yeah, let's go ahead and start off with this one. And let's see if and this will be for the flowers. So let's see if we've got them in the right spot. I've used this sheet. I shouldn't have used it so many different times because now I'm kind of losing track of where I'm setting stuff up with because I've marked it so much. But anyway, it's easy enough to rearrange the items on here and fix them wherever we need them to. Yeah, it looks like this needs to come over just a tad here. So let's bring it on over here. And then I think this will be good. Yeah, that looks good. So let's go ahead and get that. We're going to stamp up our panel with the Blushing Bride. Okay, so, and you can use another stamp pad to kind of prop this up, but I always kind of use my hand and do it that way. So whatever your preference is. And like so many, I just love the Stamp-A-Braton because like here where I didn't get quite as much ink on it or didn't press hard enough, it's so easy to go right back to the same spot and restamp it. Even though these are photopolymer and you can usually see, it's still easy to come offline sometimes. So I'm not as good at that as I am when I'm using my Stamp-A-Braton. So this one's being a little stubborn. I'm probably not putting enough of the pressure on that. So I'm going to stand up for a second and put just a little bit of pressure here. Let's see if we don't get that a better image that way. Okay, just one more time. Perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. Okay, let's clean off this. All right, so now we're going to flip this over because I've got it set up for two different types of leaf coverage. So let's see if I've still got it well enough in line. Now let's realign those because I've messed around with that so much. I don't want to take any chances of it not being laid out the way we need it to be. You want to try and bring in this set here the I'm not really sure what it's called that comes up the flower. You can see where they kind of end, and you want to make sure that's above where that it really looks like it's attached to the flower and not a second thought. So be sure and keep that in mind. And because you know, you can crisscross these, you can put them in different size, you know, you can do anything you want to with them. Like this one here, I actually had crisscrossed the design playing with it. But on this one, I'm going to keep them separate because afterwards I can crisscross the pieces. So let's go ahead and bring this down and bring this up more into the camera. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and ink up our leaves. Okay, and let's bring those down back on top. See how that came out? Beautiful. Okay, so I'll wipe that off, and then we're going to flip it around because I wanted to get the other big leaf in on the larger one. So I'm going to flip it around. Let's see if I'm where I need to be for it. No. So let's go ahead and peel that off. And I'm just going to kind of line it up here because I want it to be part of the stem, but not completely. So we'll go along the edge like so. Bring it up. Let's ink that up for her. Okay, beautiful. Love how it has the darks and the lights in this set. They really make it look realistic with that. Okay, so now we're going to clean this off. And we don't need this, but we are going to line up our little sign while we're stamping. Let's put this aside. And let's find our little, what I did with it here. Oh, there it is. It blends in with all the whites and stuff that I've got. And I did kind of draw around. Let's see if I kept that one in position. I may not have either with moving the paper and stuff. So let's see if we've got it before we... Nope, needs to come over a little bit. That's the beauty part of this. It's so easy to readjust everything. Now, if I was doing several of them at one time, I would make sure that I didn't move anything and bring the paper exactly where I had left it the last time so that I'd get a good print impression that could be used over and over again to save some time. Okay, we got it where we need to be. Let's bring that magnet out a little bit and bring our old olive. And I think I said earlier that I was using Mossy Mellow and it's old olive. That was a card I did yesterday that I was using the Mossy Mellow on. But let's go ahead and get that old olive on there. Still one of my favorites. It's been with us for many years, that color, and I love the olive tones. Okay, and it shifted again on me. So let's see, hopefully we got it. There, perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and set this aside. And while we have it in here, we might as well just change out our plates here. I've got my inside ready to be stamped as well. Let's see if I actually have it coming down from this one. So let's go ahead and pull this one out. Okay, and I am, if you hadn't noticed, I am using my cushion back here because I am using photopolymer stamps, and so you need to remember that whenever you're using your Stamparatus, that depending on whether you have a cling stamp or one of the photopolymer, you need to take that into consideration on how you stack your paddings. You wouldn't want to be using that if you were using a cling stamp. Okay, so what I did on my other card is I actually came in with the Blushing Bride and one of my stamps here. And since I've already, well, we can still do that. I'll take off one of these and bring it in. But I did a very light impression of this and then stamped the words kind of over it. So I want to do that again. It really came out pretty that way. So that looks good there. Let's put this on. All right, and let's get our, and I'll probably put just enough pressure to get the impression on there, but I want my old olive to stand out and above the background of this flower. Beautiful. That's exactly what I was looking for. So almost like a little light watermark behind there, but not quite. Okay, so let's go ahead and stamp our words. Or ink our words, I should say. Get some of that off. I know that it doesn't, you know, when you get ink around the plate, it won't get on your paper, but I'm still used to using stamps and blocks and stuff, and it can if you're not careful, so I still wipe it off. Okay, let's go a little bit darker with that. The beauty of having your Stamparatus. Okay. Perfect. That's gorgeous. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this out, and then we'll move this off right now. All right, to save some time, I went ahead and cut these out pre-hand. What I did, let me bring them over just to save us some time and you not having to watch me cut, but I went ahead and cut out around them and cut them separately, you know, separately out. And then I took and used my my markers, which is the Blushing Bride, around the edges so that they weren't, you know, some of the whiter colors didn't come out unless I wanted it to be some kind of an accent. And I did the same thing with the old olive around the leaf work. So again, it kind of covered it up and made it look nice. So you might want to do that. And so now we'll start our layering and putting our card together. And also, if you don't have a demonstrator and need to place an order, please place an order at my store. You can use this January host code if you're ordering less than 150. If you're going to order more than 150, then go ahead, if you will, and not put a host code in there, and then you'll be receiving some of the free items. What I do with my other orders is, depending on the customers that I have for January who place orders on my host code on my blog, then I take and do a drawing, and whoever gets wins the drawing is the one who becomes the host and gets the benefit of the extra items for the month. And also at the end of this week, I think it's Friday is the 1st, we're going to be having I'm going to be in another Glitter Queen blog hop, so be sure and come back then and see all the gorgeous places you can go and the cards that'll be there, and it'll all kind of be on a Valentine's theme, so I look forward to that. Okay, so next we want to go ahead and place our frame, but before we can place our frame on, we do need to go ahead and place our flowers. So you want to kind of play with them and see, because we're going to have of course, the DSP that's going to go behind the frame like so. So you need to place your flowers however you want them to be. So I may do one down and one kind of off to the side there and let them cross about there, because again, my little sign's going to come across there. So let's go ahead and what I'm going to do is put just a little bit of adhesive. I usually have my silicone mat here with me, and I don't. It's at my other filming station. So, but let's go ahead and put this here. And also this month, let's see, I may have gotten it in the wrong place. There we go. That way it covers both of them. But also this month, if you're not a demonstrator, or you've been thinking about becoming a demonstrator, whether it's just to save on your orders discount, because you do get a 20% discount for being, let's say, a hobbyist demonstrator, and you can earn discounts on your orders. Or if you're looking to get into a business, then definitely consider that, because this is a great business to be in. All right, so let's go ahead. How I want to do this, because I actually want to bring this over. Again, I haven't made this one. I've had it in my head as to what I wanted to see. And so I think we're going to, I want it to come in here, but I don't want to layer the shimmery white piece down until I get my ribbon around it, but I do want to tack this behind the frame. So let's go ahead and put me a couple of glue dots on the corner just to hold it down there until we get all the other parts on. But anyway, I was talking about, here I am trying to do two things at one time, right? But anyway, I was talking about, if you are interested in becoming a demonstrator, this is a wonderful time of the year to do it. All the time is a wonderful time as far as I'm concerned, because their product is the best beyond any. And plus, who doesn't want to get a discount? And but during this period of time, what happens is that they have two options going on, and the options are in becoming a demonstrator for $99. You can purchase $175 worth of merchandise out of our occasions catalog and out of our annual catalog. And then they have an extra perk, and if you look on my blog, you can see a picture of it. It is the most wonderful stamping tote that I've ever seen. In fact, I got me one when that was one of the perks of being a demonstrator, is that I was able to pre-order me one before they went into this special. And so if you look on my blog, you'll see a picture of that. But for $129, you not only get the $50 value in a bag, you also get the $175 in products. So again, this is just who doesn't want to save money, and what a way to do it. So if you're thinking about it, there is a link, and I'd love to have you on my team. Okay, so let's go ahead and start deciding where we want this. I think that looks good, and then we'll bring the frame on the other part of it. So let's go ahead and put some little bits of tack adhesive in there where we need them to hold everything down. And we want to have it about pretty much even with all the other card. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so now we want to get us our ribbon. And like I said, if you haven't gotten you any of this ribbon, oh, you're just going to love working with it. So I'm going to be generous. I always like to allow myself plenty of tying space when I'm working with ribbon, so I don't mind using an extra. I know some people are real good about being able to cut their ribbon just a certain way, and it just does perfect. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those. I always cut too short, so I just feel like it's better to cut a little long. Okay, so we're going to bring the ribbon around the back because I want to bring it up and around, and then I'm going to bring it through. Let me put this over here. It gets a little clumsy for me here, but I want to bring it through this other, so I can bring it through the back and then back up through the front and have a side tie on it. So let's go ahead and bring this to the back here. I had some nails, well, it wasn't actually nails, it was that gel polish on my nails, and I ended up having to cut my nails really short because it really messed with them. And now it's like I can't seem to get anything working without my nails. You never realize how much you use them until you don't have them to use. Okay, let's bring that up through there. There we go. So then you want to adjust this and get it exactly where you want it. We can bring it up so that we can see the frame and those around it. So let's go ahead and tighten it up a little bit. There we go. Probably got it a little bit too tight that time. Okay, that looks good there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get me a glue dot and put up underneath there just to help it from shifting on me when I'm trying to tie that little bit of a ribbon. So let's make sure we have it even. It looks good there. So there we go. And might as well do another one on the top, and that way we'll make sure that it is nice and secure. Now my other card, I had actually just adhered it down to the card itself without any kind of dimensions or any playing with it. So I think this time we're going to use some dimensions and give it a little bit of a 3D effect. But what I'm trying to do is I want to see how I kind of tugged on this one, and you get a prettier square knot out of it whenever you make sure you're tugging at the right one. So there we go. Let's go ahead and trim this up, and let's go ahead and trim it at this angle. There we go. And a little nip here. All right, isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so let's go ahead and Let's see if I got my dimensionals here. Now, one thing you'll notice that I did take some of the pearls and where the, I guess it's called the stamen, or the part that comes out here, they didn't come out very bright, so I decided I'd use some of the pearls as a way to bring that out. So that's what I did with this one. Whereas on the other one, if you notice, I brought in some of the yellow pineapple color in there and gave it a light dusting of color. So let's go ahead and use our dimension, and we're just about done with this card. Again, it's a very fast and easy card, but at the same time, I think it's an elegant card with all the beautiful designer paper that we have available to us and all the gorgeous colors we have to work with. So let's go ahead and get this off. One more. There we go. And let's bring this in. Looks good right about there. Okay, and if you want to tack these down, if you're going to be mailing them, it's a great idea. Like I did on this one here, I went ahead and put some of the glue dots behind it, and that way it won't move around in the envelope when it goes. But here's our two versions of it. Isn't it beautiful? And see here, we used designer paper out of that same pack, and I used it in the frame instead. And here I decided we needed that lacy look behind it. So here we have two different styles, but equally I think as pretty. So here we go. All right, well, thank you for stopping by, and be sure and subscribe to my blog, and that way you'll be notified when I have future filming coming out, or blog post. And so until next time, happy stamping.